Thank you so much for joining us. And speaking of Jeremiah Smith, we are just mere minutes away from his signing day ceremony. The nation's top prospect getting ready to put pen to paper as the Ohio State commit gets ready to reveal his decision. But don't forget, Miami FSU, they're also making a push for the nation's top prospect going in home as recently as last week. We'll have the reaction from his ceremony coming up soon in the show. But for now, let's go over to the Late Kick Lounge. Josh Pate, how's it going?
Don't worry now. I know a lot of people are locked in on this. We're not going to overlap over Jeremiah Smith's announcement. We're looking there live. Cooper, what kind of player are we talking about as we get ready for this announcement?
Yeah, I hate to throw it around, but generational, right? We talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. as one of the best receiver prospects we've seen in a long time. You talked to my good friend Andrew Ivins, who has scouted Jeremiah Smith for a long time, compares him to the likes of guys like Calvin Johnson, Megatron, right? You think of these type of players when Jeremiah Smith comes up. How about this? The first player at his position ever to be ranked number one in the 24/7 Sports era. That's since 2010. He's a complete difference maker. He can beat you in every single way possible you could possibly imagine. Checks every single box. And the great thing about Jeremiah Smith is he has a very mature game. Technically, physically, the physical growth is off the charts. He's got another level he'll get to on Saturdays.
You see him walking up to the desk right now. I mean, you're talking about now a recruiting worldwide audience tuned in here. We got folks on virtually every message board in the country, not just Ohio State and Miami. Florida State was on the periphery here, but everyone's interested. This is kind of what on Late Kick we would call a keystone announcement because it has a ripple effect that impacts the entire industry. You think about the difference in the vibe of a Buckeye fan if they land him here versus if he were to flip at the last minute. You think about the reputation Mario Cristobal already has and how it would swell a little bit. So again, if you're joining us live, you're looking at Jeremiah Smith there. That's not only the number one wide receiver in the country, that's the number one player in the country, and we are awaiting his announcement down there in Florida, and we're going to it now.
The next 3 or 4 years,
Really excited to see him put on that Ohio State hat. Jeremiah Smith, despite the fact that, man, there was a lot of buzz signaling Miami late. You saw it. It's a red hat. Ohio State is the pick for Jeremiah Smith. What's your initial reaction? We were like this, trying to figure out what was about to happen.
371 days. And it's Ohio State. I mean, we got to see if they announce him as a signee. Still got to get over that hurdle. There's been some, I don't know, scares in the past. I've always thought Ohio State for Jeremiah Smith. You know, you constantly get asked to talk about his recruitment, handicap the recruitment. I just think that family is a little bit different than maybe some of these others. Geno Smith bet on himself, obviously related to them. I think they see Sunday, they see first round. You look at what Brian Hartline has done with the wide receivers, and this is the guy to develop him. I also thought Jeremiah Smith said next 3 to 4 years. We hear kids use that phrase all the time. Well, Jeremiah Smith, it probably could be 3 and done.
I need a guy to say for the next year, right, with the transfer portal and everything that's happening. But it's hard to go against that rationale for Jeremiah Smith. Ohio State makes the most sense for him from a developmental standpoint, from an NFL standpoint, and getting to that next level, getting ready for the professional ranks. The Buckeyes dodged a huge bullet here because the buzz was there, right, with Miami, with Florida State in recent weeks, and for them to hold on past the whole calendar year and get Jeremiah Smith, huge victory for Ryan Day.
I mean, we've talked a lot about Jeremiah Smith, the player. This is huge for Ohio State, but also to stop the bleeding. The 4 J's, right? Justin Scott, Jordan Lyle, Jeremiah McClellan, and then Jeremiah Smith. They went 1 for 4 here, losing those other guys. The class had to drop down to number 4. I mean, they needed to get this one done. This is a guy that can step in. Huge win for Ryan Day. It would have been a complete disaster of a finish here for the Buckeyes.
I say Buckeyes fans breathing a sigh of relief, not just to hold on to the number 1 player in the class, but after losing Jeremiah McClellan, to have a wide receiver to bring in. I mean, Ohio State fans are just used to that, and we talk about the Brian Hartline of it all. They are so used to bringing in 5-star talent at the wide receiver position, but why is it so huge to get Jeremiah Smith?
Keeps Ohio State, they recruit South Florida pretty well. They've had plenty of success. Last cycle, think about it, was Brandon Ennis, who they got out of there. This is the one that the fan base, I think, kind of had circled. They had assumed, all right, we're going to hold on to him. So just getting him in, potential to play right away. Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, there's a few other wide receivers there. I just think it, just stops the panic a little bit, I think, if you're an Ohio State fan.
It calms everyone down. We've had some question marks about that quarterback room at Ohio State. A lot of talent, but not a lot of experience. And there's been rumors that they've been trying to get into the transfer portal to get someone. They lose Kyle McCord. Devin Brown's going to be the guy for the bowl game. They got some young guys in that room, and Aaron Nolan coming in. When you get a Jeremiah Smith, I think it solidifies the future and the vision of what that offense can be. And it's going to help them continue to recruit the quarterback position, knowing that, hey, look, we're still going to be that team where receivers are going to be the prime objective and how we're going to develop guys.
When you're a player that comes in with that much excitement, that much energy and attention towards you, you think, oh, done, finished product, 5-star number 1 player. He's going to be awesome at Ohio State. But he's about to get a lot of development, too.
Yeah, perfecting his craft. Jeremiah Smith, we've talked about how big he is, the big features and all that stuff. I don't think a lot of people realize he's an excellent track and field athlete. 3-time state qualifier in both hurdle events, the 110 and the 400. Took gold medals at that most recently. You look at Ohio State player development, it's not just getting tinkered with by Brian Hartline in terms of your route running and the nuances of playing the position. It's the strength program. And I think for the folks in Columbus right now, it's a little bit of, okay, what we're trying to do is the right direction. I mentioned Aaron Nolan being fit in between the ears. You got the same thing with Jeremiah Smith. So Ohio State, new era with all this NIL and stuff, but they got 2 guys that fit what they want to do.
And let's not forget the NIL factor here, because when you think about the Big Ten and the platform, the stage that it provides a player like Jeremiah Smith, we saw what that did for a Marvin Harrison Jr. and the other receivers that have come through Columbus. I don't know if he gets that national attention if he goes to a Miami or a Florida State, considering that the ACC is where it is in the national perception of things. So he's going to be playing those big primetime matchups on Saturday night. He's going to be featured on the billboards. He's going to be on every poster, and he doesn't have to stay in the South Florida area to be able to accomplish that.